So good morning on this overcast, cool day. More of an update really on how it's not going well. We've had some really rough weather the last week, a complete week of it. We had a fantastic start to the spring. Everything was fairly warm. What can I say? It couldn't have been better. You can see over there, look, rapeseed in flower, just coming into full flower. Same as that's the field actually I showed you the other day when I walked up to it and we talked about that, between those two trees. I think you can see that there. But ever since that day, it's got worse and worse and been colder and colder. And I'm actually thinking now, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go with this? Because historically we have about another 3 weeks max of flow. That will be it for our spring flow. And there won't really be anything else around after that. And I suppose we should be a bit optimistic and say that, but because we've had reasonable weather early on and then it went cold, at least the bees have had a lot of food and their colonies are good and strong, you know? So we can't really complain in that respect. This is so nice and warm here. I'm just going to put some supers on these bees here, because I want to do that and I wanted to super everything. I haven't got any supers on any hives yet, to be honest. It's all a bit rubbish, my work schedule. It's all fallen apart, which I didn't want it to do this time of year, but you know what they say, it is what it is. I hope the smoke is still lit. Yeah, we're in business. Bees are looking great. These colonies are full. And they've got plenty of honey in there. This box frames was added a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago now, while the weather was good. So I'm going to put a queen excluder on and give them some room. Whether they'll go up and start building, I don't know. But the whole idea of this is when they do go up, and they need to go up, they can. So they've got space. When the flow does come back on or the weather gets better, at least they can, you know, get on with filling that. But the next 3 days look pretty bad. We've got a whole week of cloudy, rainy rubbish. So I'm getting so frustrated with all this. I've got loads of supers to put on, as I just said. I've got still nuke transfers to do, you know, and we're due basically a week of rubbish weather. So I'm just going around doing the home apiary here, getting these supers on where I can. Hopefully we'll have a bit of spring honey, but as I said, at the moment it isn't looking too bright. So we've just got to hope that when that weather does go good, oh, that's so nice and warm there. This is ridiculous, having to warm my hands on top of the hive there. But we'll hope the weather, when it does go good, we'll have a good flow. So all we can do is put that prep in, get everything ready. We've got to work when the weather's rubbish, just to keep on top of things and be organised. There's no room at the inn ever. These are absolutely packed full of bees. I hope there's no swarm cells in here. Wax moth, so they're always around wax moth, they just can't get to them there. I can see drones, I can see frames of honey. Let's have a little look in this brood nest. Sorry girls, it's way too cold to be getting you out, but because I'm adding supers, I want to know what I'm supering. Look at that. There's still honey in that frame. And there's still a little bit of nectar in that brood nest. So I'm not unduly worried about this, but what I'm seeing is nice larvae there and hatching broods. That's absolutely wonderful, and no queen cells. Let's see if that's a queen cell there. That could well be. Is there an egg in it? Yes, there is. Right. Only in that one. But I'm not going to rip this colony apart. I'll have to check this. That was the start of a cup. So I'll have to check this, as I will do everything, in a week, 4 or 5 days, maybe less, because I've seen that one and I'll mark it. But I need to check them all, because this colony's full, but when I give it space, they'll be up in the super. So that's good. This is what beekeeping is. You just have to, even when the weather's not going well, you've got to seize those moments and make sure that you give your bees space at the right time. Even though they may not use it, you've still got to give them that possibility, because that bottom box is full. On goes the aluminium. On goes the cover board. The cover board is great because when you let go of the plastic or your aluminium, the cover board gives that little bit of weight, and if it's really windy, it gives you a few seconds to put that roof on. I've got one over here I'm going to do in a minute that is really strong, and that's one of my breeder queens. And I gave her space last week and a super, and they have already built half the super out when the flow was on last week. So I'll be interested to see what they've done with that. So these are really strong colonies that were put into boxes well over 2 weeks ago. But they had plenty of room when I did that. So should be fine. They're just going to need space now, and these were bombing it last week in the last of the decent weather. So I imagine they're going to be completely full. Yeah, packed, but looking nice. When I'm looking at that, I'm not seeing excess honey everywhere, which is good. Blast it, I've left my queen excluders over there. So these are a Buckfast hybrid from last year. Let's have a look in here. See what we've got going on in here. Look at that, lovely. See, the frame is not congested. A little bit of honey in the corner there, a little bit of honey there. A few bits of nectar here and there, but most of the cells are free, which is what I like to see. Very good. The queens have maximum space to lay at the moment, and they're going to need more space, but as any honey is moved up top from now on, it should be maintained the room in the bottom. It's going to get a couple of queen excluders. Bear with me. These bees are looking great. Give them a smoke. All the frames are even and equal. On goes the nice clean queen excluder. On goes the super. Brand new. And now the bees are going to start doing their job. Make sure when you put a super on, double check that all your supers are in line, because it's so easy to miss that. So easy. Okay, that one is done. Takes longer than I want. This on the floor. I'm putting supers on the floor, but as it's brand new, it's clean already. Move this over so you guys can see the last one. This is the most active one. Can even feel the heat through that. Look at this, absolutely packed full of bees, and they're beautiful looking bees as well. See what we can find here. This should have had a super last week, to be honest, but as I said, they haven't really grown hugely over that time. Let's just see what kind of honey we get. This isn't too full of honey, the bottom's full of brood. Look at these beautiful bees. There's eggs in those cells as well. That's okay, no sign of any queen cells. So that's a good frame. A little bit too much honey in there for my liking, but that's the number 3 frame. But let's have a look at this one. That's a bit better. Look at that, nice brood pattern. Good laying queen, plenty of bees. Loads of eggs and bees and brood. That's what we like to see. All good. Hey, nothing sinister? No. That is good. Beautiful. All eggs and larvae. Fantastic. Next one is a frame of brood, but I'm not going to dig out any more. I've seen enough. No queen cells here, but they just need space now. Good. Okay. Even without gloves, the bees are being nice. Let's give these the super. Okay. It's also really good to check when you put your super on, for example. Look, that's not even. Give that a knock with your hand, because when you put a super that's clean, you can realign it now. Trying to realign it once they've properlised it up is a complete nightmare. There we go. That's as it should be. Nice and neat. When you come back, it looks tidy. Just something I like to do, make sure that my supers are all tidy like that. Roof back on. And I always say that by giving plenty of space and giving the bees the super when they need it, you give them purpose. If you give them a box and they're completely packed in it, they don't seem to want to do much. But you've got to create that little window for them so they can do something. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I'm at my breeder queen now. This already had a super way earlier than the others, way earlier, over a week ago. And I know they've already been building it. Because this colony, the reason why I know this is full is because when I came to it in the spring, it already had loads in the box. So I'll show you this, look. They're already starting to build up, even though I've added a super. It may be because they feel they want to build it because they started building here, or it may be because there's just no room in that super I added. Let's have a look. Difficult to get a good angle sometimes. So we'll take this top box off. This is the feeder I left on because I had comb in it. But I already know, when I looked the other day, there was some bees, some frames sticking to the super. Look at that, absolutely packed. Wow. This is way further ahead than I even dreamt. This is going to have a second super today. Let's give them a little bit of smoke. Did I bring the smoke with me? Yes, I did. So I'm not really having to smoke these because this is my breeder queen. But I am smoking it just to get them out of the way. So, should be enough. This is amazing. What I imagine they did was, because it was so congested, the colony, they might have moved a lot of honey. Blimey, the sun is coming out. Look at that. So this shows you what they do when they start to build these plastic frames, okay? There's a little bit there that's nearly capped on the bottom. You can just see that on the top part there. That's nearly ready to be capped. But they build it up beautifully. Oh dear, I'm glad the queen's not on that. Silly mistake. But anyway, look, this is quite good actually. Immediately, the bees can crawl up the grass and onto the board. So yeah, I do make mistakes, we're not all perfect. Let's have a look at the next frame, or one closer to the centre of the brood nest, but above it, and see if they built this out anymore. And see if this is nearly filled. Similar. See the top part there is capped, just on that little bit at the top. The other side is the same. It's just it's the sign of an erratic flow. When you get a lot coming in, they'll fill out the frame at the whole time. But you can see, okay, That's the hard plastic there, and just after it they've been building that out, you see. So it just shows you how they do it. But there seems to be no hesitation here. They're straight up and building. But I am going to risk giving these a second super, and the reason being that if the weather does go good, I want them to have plenty of space, and I do not want this queen to swarm, because it's my early breeder queen, and I want her to be to have plenty of space. So that's all back. The configuration is right. We don't need another queen excluder because we've already got one, obviously. So we'll put this one on. So this one has 2 supers now, and I'm sure they'll be in here like a rash, building. Feeder on next. Just going to let those bees crawl into there. They're building up pretty. They're crawling pretty quickly. Come on, you. Good. No problems. All in. Excellent. So that is okay. That is exceptional. You can see the honey they're putting in this. This is more of a drone comb, but they're filling it with nectar. I broke some off the other day. Look at that, I'll eat that in a moment. Delicious. So that's a bit of an overview of what I'm doing. I'm trying to find something to do. In other words, I'm trying to find solace while the weather's bad. It's not easy. The farmers are really busy. They've been mowing down all their spring flowers that they put in as a manure. Now they're all being incorporated, but they can't sow yet because it's too cold. They're waiting to sow the maize for this year. And, you know, it's just everyone's on pause. But I suppose we call that normal. Anyway, whatever you're doing, hope you're well, hope you get your supers on, and I hope you get some decent weather. Bye for now.